the Arundel Workforce Development Corporation. Lisa?
Hi, thanks for including me in today's webinar. I'm looking forward to talking to you about what we do here in Anne Arundel County. I love to talk about it. So just kind of, we're going to go to the next slide. Sorry. Just to kind of give you a little bit of background, Anne Arundel Workforce Development became a workforce employment network in 2013. Basically, when I say a workforce employment network, what that means is we're just like any other employment network, but we're tied directly with the workforce system. So we just are able to provide maybe a little bit more services, more resources than a normal employment network would be able to provide. And when I say the workforce system, I'm talking about what's created through our Workforce Innovation and Opportunities Act, which is an act of Congress that was designed to strengthen our public workforce system. This legislation especially targets all the individuals that have significant barriers to employment, individuals with disabilities being one of those populations. So WIOA is designed to provide access to employment, training, education, and other supports. And they're designed to be set so each participant is set up for success on their employment journey. The core partners that are mandated under the WIOA would be the Department of Labor, Maryland Department of Labor. They handle our Title, I can't think, 2, 3 services, I can't remember. And then of course, we handle our Title 1. We have DOORS, and they handle the disability resources. And then we have Anne Arundel Community College, who handles our adult education and literacy programming. There are other agencies, other organizations, departments that are also required to be part of the partnership. They're not co-located at the American Job Center. Those 4 partners are, though. So next slide. When Anne Arundel Workforce Development first became an employment network back in 2013, we were still under WIA, which was the Workforce Investment Act. WIA didn't focus so much on the partnership piece, so we still kind of ran things separately. We didn't incorporate the employment network into our standard current programming. We ran it separately. It was very difficult for me to align my services with the rest of our programming. We did encourage the beneficiaries to enroll into the Maryland Workforce Exchange, which is the workforce website run by the Department of Labor, but it wasn't mandatory. They weren't required to do it. I worked one-on-one with my customers, and I did career exploration. I had, did all the resources, all the programming myself with them, connected them to employment and everything. I didn't really have support, and I wasn't really able to get them enrolled into other programs. Being internal within the agency or external within our community partners, it was just very difficult for me to do. One thing, when you become an employment network, initially you're not receiving funding from Social Security Administration. So all of the work that you're doing, you have to find other funding to allow for that work to be done. That's part of the reason why it was so difficult for me to connect to other like training funds and things like that. Now that we are established and we're working, the way they have it set up is you receive receive assistance, monetary assistance, once you get the person employed. Once they start to work and they actually meet milestones, then the agency, we start receiving money. So now that income that we're receiving, we're able to use it to support my salary so that we can continue this work, as well as some other operating expenses that we wouldn't be able to do normally. Next slide. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think, make sure I got everything on that one page. Can we go back really quick? I did miss a couple of things that I had to overcome, and that was really difficult for me, is because we were still being run separately, we were siloed, even though AAWDC was also the Title I provider, I just had that disconnect. I wasn't able to connect people for training opportunities or supportive services. And another obstacle, like I said, was that we weren't really able to align our resources with our community partners. So the next slide, where we enter in DEI, which was the Disability Employment Initiative. In 2016, Maryland applied to participate in this initiative, and they asked all the counties who wanted to also participate, who wanted to represent Maryland. So Anne Arundel County, along with Montgomery County, we stepped up to the plate and we agreed to deliver the services through DEI. DEI was designed to help knock down the silos that had been put up amongst all of the different agencies and organizations that were providing resources and services for individuals with disabilities. And it was also designed to open doors to allow more individuals with disabilities access to more of the intensive services offered through WIOA. Focus was placed to improve their education, training, and employment opportunities, and as well as their outcomes. The biggest change that occurred within our workforce employment network was that it became mandatory for all disability beneficiaries to be enrolled in WIOA. This was something that I had worked for the longest time, and it was something finally I was able to do. It made me so happy because this made them eligible to receive that funding for occupational training and supportive services that other organizations either didn't have or we had, but we weren't given it. So this opened that door for them. Another awesome takeaway from this project was we created integrated resource teams. This was another thing that I had been pushing for the longest time, and we finally were able to do it because I partnered with part of the DEI initiative was all of the disability agencies and organizations, the main ones in the state. We all partnered. They were all part of this. So they were mandating it down as well, that their local level staff was supposed to, the frontline staff was supposed to be working with us. So this really allowed us to create more open conversation and just relationships that just were not there in the past. So by creating these integrated resource teams, we were able to work more closely with the job seeker to identify their needs, what they were already receiving, who they were working with, and we brought us all to the table and we all talked, and we with their needs being paramount and the focus. And so we weren't duplicating our efforts. We weren't doing, wasting money. We were giving the customer, the job seeker, the best support that they could get. And this was great. It just made things so much easier. And at any time, those job seekers were able to utilize and access all the resources and funding that was available for them out there. And we also realized that by working together, we were setting ourselves up for success, because by helping them and helping each other, we were saving ourselves so much time and energies and effort. So it was just great. So next slide. And then it was mentioned before about Partnership Plus. This was another thing that I really wanted to work on, partnering with Doors, because they are our VR. It would make sense. We're located in the same building, that we work together. We support their consumers from day one. We get involved with them as soon as we can so that they have a relationship with us. They feel comfortable. They can come to us once they've gotten employment, because that's one thing with our VR services is once they're employed, after 90 days, they are exited out of VR services and then taken off the ticket to work roles. So this allows them to stay in ticket to work, stay with added support. We're able to support Doors with their retention needs because we're keeping in contact with the job seeker. we're not losing touch with them. We're also able to support them down the road. So if they want continued education or occupational credentialing, or even just to change jobs, we're there to help them, and they have that. We stay with them as long as we can until they're finally off the Ticket to Work books, and that occurs once they've, met the milestone that they've been off benefits for a certain amount of time. So, it's a win-win for everybody involved. Next. These are just some more of our, just kind of what I talked about already. So next slide. And finally, I wanted to include Mr. McGowan. We've had lots of success stories, so it was hard to pick, but actually it got too hard because I've been working with him forever, and we're so proud of him, and he just graduated in May. So he started off with AAWDC back in 2016. He had attempted to go back to school a couple times. It just wasn't working out, but he knew he needed to change. He knew he wanted to, get off of benefits and all that good stuff. So somebody had told him about Ticket to Work, and he took a chance. So he came to us. Back then, I didn't have a lot to offer other than, my knowledge, my assistance. So I worked with him. We found ways to find him money so he could go to school. I helped him apply for financial aid. We're blessed with our community college will waive tuition for anybody who receives disability benefits. So he was just responsible for his books and his fees. So we were able to help him with that, because I do have a little supportive service money back then. And I was just there for him and supported him through. We kept in touch with each other, and then he finally graduated from the community college, decided he might want to get his bachelor's degree. We talked about that. We worked on it, got him enrolled in a local college here, and he just graduated with his business administration degree, bachelor's degree. And he started working in February, which we helped him find that job as well. So he was just a win-win all the way around. And that's all.